Liverpool are going big for Barcola, but should they be prioritizing elsewhere as PSG look to replace their French winger with Hazard 2.0, who is Spurs' supposed Bomba signing, and Infantino's greedy scheme was even worse than we first thought. This is DMAC Daily. Liverpool fans, how are we feeling heading into August 2026? Because from the outside looking in, there appears to be some glaring issues. Now, I do want to preface here that I'm a big fan of Andoni Iraola. I think it was a shrewd appointment from the Reds, pivoting away from Slot to one of the Premier League's and Europe's finest young managers instead. Give him the tools to succeed, and there's a very good chance he does exactly that. But there lies the problem, because Liverpool and their recruitment team are not adequately addressing the biggest issues within this current squad, with the season starting in less than 3 weeks now. As of August the 4th, 2 players have officially arrived in Jeremy Jacquet and Victor Munoz. Neither are yet to feature, with the French defender still injured and the latter on holiday post-World Cup. All the while, it appears that the number one target for Liverpool right now is PSG's want-away winger Bradley Barcola. It's no secret that Liverpool have looked to add some much-needed dynamism in the wide areas, someone to fill the void of Salah and to give this frontline more balance. Last season, the attack was full of superstars, but it felt awkward at times. At first, Diomande was seen as the ideal replacement, a direct, exciting young talent for the present and future, but unfortunately Leipzig were demanding in excess of 120 million euros, something Liverpool could not accept, pivoting to Munoz shortly after, but they still wanted to add an established top winger to their ranks. So lo and behold, Barcola's pursuit has since ramped up. It's no secret the Frenchman wants to depart the Parisian Giants too, sat behind Kvaratskhelia and Doué in the pecking order. So PSG have set an evaluation, £145 million, and he's all yours, which is absolutely absurd, even for today's inflated standards. There's no way any club is forking out the 3rd highest transfer fee in football history for Barcola. Liverpool are hoping to negotiate a far lower price. Fabrizio is suggesting a €100 million bid has already been tabled, whilst The Athletic are reporting that the Reds are willing to commit to a deal closer to £100 million. Granted, that's still crazy money itself, but Barcola is easily one of the best left wingers available in the market, and at 23 has huge potential for growth. Tactically, he'd also be a perfect fit for Liverpool too, a team that aspires to play a ruthless brand of counter-attacking football. I see the appeal and logic behind the push for Barcola, but at the same time, from an attacking standpoint, he doesn't necessarily solve Liverpool's biggest issue out wide, replacing the vacant right wing role following Salah's departure. Like, I guess Barcola could operate out on the right hand flank, but he nor any other player in Liverpool's forward line is an out and out right winger. In fact, if Barcola joins, then Liverpool would have 4 left-sided left wingers in the first team, with Gakpo and Gamoa and new signing Munoz too, alongside Barcola. Considering strikers Isak, Ekitike, and fellow forward Chiesa all somewhat favor operating in that left-sided channel, same with Florian Wirtz too to a degree, the balance is still off. I'm not sure how much funds Liverpool actually have this window, but Barcola certainly won't come cheap, and in hypothetically signing him, would other areas then not be addressed? It must be said, the right-wing market is a particularly tricky one to navigate. The Reds clearly want elite explosive players, of which there are very few within the realms of possibility right now. Beyond that problem position, I'd argue there's an even bigger issue the Reds face, and it's the state of their backline right now, particularly the centre-back situation, because right now, Virgil van Dijk is their only reliable option, and he's still yet to return to the team. The other options are Joe Gomez, who is injured. I mean, he's always injured. Jeremy Jacquet, who is the supposed Konate replacement, but he's only 21, he's not Prem proven, and is still yet to reach full fitness off the back of shoulder surgery last season. Then there's Giovanni Leone, who's coming back from an ACL injury and has only featured once for the club. So Liverpool desperately need at least 1 centre-back coming in. I'd argue they need 2, considering the inexperience and injury proneness of their current options, because they can't just rely on a 35-year 25-year-old Van Dijk to carry their defense in the Prem, in the UCL, and domestic cup competitions. That is a nightmare waiting to happen. And yes, I know Liverpool have some young guns showing promise directly from the academy. Ndukwe and Ndiaye could become top defenders one day. They've showed a lot of promise in pre-season, but this is Liverpool. This is an elite club. There's no way City, there's no way Arsenal would ever approach the season with one Prem-proven, reliable centre-back available. It's a similar predicament at right-back too. Frimpong, who is fairly injury-prone himself, is the only top-level option available, with Connor Bradley recovering from an ACL. I just can't fathom how their defensive insecurity hasn't already been addressed. It was this very same predicament last season that caused Liverpool major problems, and it was evident in Liverpool's latest pre-season friendly that they were so vulnerable defensively. Leeds bagged twice from set pieces and ended up hitting them for 4. Granted, it's only the beginning of August. There's still plenty of time for further transfer activity. I'm just a little perplexed by Liverpool's priorities right now. But Reds fans, am I missing something here? Am I devoid of context in any capacity? Please let me know in the comments below. Would love to hear your perspectives coming into the 26-27 season. We head next to Paris to talk about Bradley Barcola further, more specifically who PSG have in mind to potentially replace him amongst others, as their squad is set for a bit of an attacking reset in many ways. Now, the big dogs are still set to lead the charge. Dembele, Doué, Havertz, Skelia, that fluid and interchangeable, terrifying front three, which has taken PSG to consecutive UCL titles. They're going nowhere, but all the while, Gonçalo Ramos has left for Milan, Lee Kang-in to Atletico Madrid, Kolo Muani to Juventus. That's already 155 million euros of players sold, with Barcola's potential departure commanding at least another 100 mil minimum. So PSG are naturally looking to bring in some legit reinforcements, starting with Magnez Agliouche of Monaco, who, excluding PSG players, is the second most valuable player in Ligue 1 right now. He's headed to Paris for supposedly 50 million euros, just a proper baller. Got an outrageous goal catalogue already. He bagged 4 goal involvements in 4 games v PSG last season, then went to the World Cup with France. Not a bad signing for a backup option. The same thing could be said about their sudden pursuit of Ajax sensation Mika Götze, aka Hazard 2.0, the Belgian prodigy who is quickly developing into one of Europe's premium U21 wingers. Just look at the development in his statistical output in all 3 of his pro seasons as a footballer. The 25-26 season in particular, my goodness, this kid went crazy. 30 goal contributions in 34 Eredivisie games. The most prolific player in the league. He was only narrowly pipped of the Player of the Year award by Ismaila Saibari, who's since signed for Bayern Munich. But Götze was recognized with the Johan Cruyff Talent of the Year award in the Eredivisie. For me, this guy is the real deal. I know the Eredivisie isn't a top 5 league, and so you always want to tread lightly when dipping into this market. I say it a lot, but for every Zlatan, there's an Anthony, right? Succeeding in this league doesn't automatically translate to success in a top 5 division, but simultaneously, I'll be damned if Götze doesn't go to the very top, because his end product is already very impressive, and it's the quality of the goals too. He's got an absolute wand of a right foot, and like Hazard, he loves picking up the ball in that left-sided channel and just cooking everyone in his path. One goal in particular that he scored last season was just outrageous. The Belgian literally dribbled through the entire team, including the goalkeeper. That's different quality. He's so innovative in the way he bypasses defenders, which is why PSG have since launched a bid for the youngster. According to Fabrizio, a bid has been sent for over 40 million euros. Ajax are supposedly holding out for 60 mil, which I don't think is too steep at all, just quietly. Like, Ajax sold Anthony for 95 mil, despite the fact that he was older than Götze and had worse output in the Eredivisie. Like, I'm surprised a lot of the other big clubs aren't actively pushing for his signature. Bayern said they wanted to add a left winger to their squad this summer. Obviously, Liverpool and Arsenal are evidently on the lookout for left wingers, but you know, even teams like United, Spurs, Newcastle could do with a player of his caliber on the left flank. But man, you put Götze in a free-flowing PSG team full of world-class playmakers and creative forwards, and I think he'd really thrive. Okay, his UCL performances weren't all that great, but Ajax were pretty bang average in Europe last season. I think he'd fare a lot better with the European champions. But as if that wasn't enough attacking riches for PSG, they're also chasing after World Cup winning goal scorer and Barcelona forward Ferran Torres, which is pretty freaking crazy. Like, I'm sorry, we can't allow PSG to have a second string forward line of Agliush, Götze, and Ferran up top. That's too much quality. I think the Ferran deal is going to be a very difficult one for them to pull off because Barca themselves are struggling to find a Lewandowski replacement. So we'll see how this transfer saga unfolds. On top of that, PSG have already signed Luka Dean at left back and are in advanced negotiations for Japanese keeper Zion Suzuki, even though they already possess Safonov and Chevalier. Just crazy depth potentially. Moving back to the Premier League now, and despite Spurs' aggressive summer spending spree, forking out well over £230 million already heading into August, there doesn't appear to be any signs of slowing down. In fact, their manager, Roberto De Zerbi, has publicly revealed that they're anticipating, quote, 2, maybe 3 more arrivals in the upcoming days and weeks ahead. Last season's 17th place Premier League side are clearly desperate to regain their fallen Big Six status, which is why they broke their own transfer record on Mateus Fernandes first before breaking it again 72 hours later on Sandro Tonali, dropping 100 mil on the Italian. 2 statement additions considering the fact that other top Premier League sides were keen on their signatures. We're not used to seeing Spurs show their financial muscle like this, but adding to the excitement that is brewing within this club, their manager hinted of a Bomba signing very soon. That specific terminology raised eyeballs for sure. De Zerbi did clarify that, quote, Bomba in Italian is different from Bomba in English. He then described his phrasing as a top player. Quote, I think Tonali, Mateus Fernandes, Senesi, Robertson are Bomba. Poor Van Hecke didn't quite fit the description there. No, but in all seriousness, who could he actually be referring to when talking about a top player signing for Spurs imminently? I think I know who it is just quietly, but let's outline the details. So far this summer, they've strengthened in goal, in the center of defense, at left back. They've brought in 2 top midfielders. I don't think they need to really strengthen these areas further, even with the anticipated outgoings of Vicario in goal, club captain Christian Romero, and wanted midfielder Bergvall. I think they're pretty well off in those areas regardless. Maybe Spurs bring in another keeper to compete with Kinski and Dubravka, but I assume the final third is what probably needs most strengthening at this point. There's so many players dealing with long-term injuries currently, with Simmons, Kulusevski, Odobert out. Kudus and Madison are still recovering from long-term injuries too. I think they could do with at least 2 final third additions. My bet as to the Bomba signing on the horizon is Savinho, which may be a little underwhelming for some, but I think the Brazilian would definitely be a welcome addition into a Spurs team that lacks creativity. Yes, his end product is a little underwhelming, but I certainly think he'd have more of an opportunity to flourish in a slightly less stacked squad that is Tottenham in comparison to City's. Remember, they were heavily interested in the Brazilian last summer too. It just didn't come to fruition. Just 6 days ago, though, the Times released a story suggesting a £60 million deal is in the works. Spurs have also been linked with Omar Marmoush in the last few days, although those links are nowhere near as substantiated, which leads me to another big name suddenly being linked with Spurs in Victor Osimhen. Now, I'm taking this news with a grain of salt because I'm yet to see any remotely credible source corroborate on this link. Don't get me wrong, I think it'd be a real coup signing, a striker that is clearly superior to Solanke and Richarlison, but I think it's going to take something seismic to lure Osimhen away from Gala. They forked out 75 mil for him just last season. He won't come cheap. Does he even want to join the Spurs project? So I'm choosing to be skeptical. I think the most likely scenario is Savinho's arrival, but we'll just have to wait and see as to who the mystery bomber really is. Now to close out the transfer news with a quick recap of some of the major deals from the last 72 hours or so, starting with another London club, Chelsea, who have officially signed 36-year-old Jordan Henderson, the oldest player to sign for the club in the Bluecoat era. He joins on a free transfer, having terminated his deal with Brentford to join Chelsea on a free in a 2-year contract. Joining him is Bellingham's best mate, apparently, Valentin Marcin Barco. Although this isn't exactly new news, this deal was agreed way back in May, so Chelsea now technically possess 7 first-team central midfielders if you include Reece James, so make of that what you will. One player that's definitely departing Chelsea though is Trevor Chalobah, joining Fabregas's Como in a 36 million euro deal. Elsewhere, and Fulham have confirmed the 50 million euro double sweep of Real Madrid's Gonzalo Garcia and Cesar Palacios. Newcastle have added another keeper to their ranks in Braga's Lucas Hornacek for 30 million euros, whilst Brentford have smashed their own transfer record in a 38.5 million pound move for Lens's midfielder Mamadou Sangare. Not a bad piece of business from the French club though, considering they only signed him 12 months prior for 11 mil. Meanwhile, Juventus just dropped 41 million euros on PSG outcast Randal Kolo Muani, and they also swooped for Bosnian wonderkid Kerem Alabegovic, dropping 32 million euros on the 18-year-old, whilst Roma have continued their ambitious summer window, dropping 16.5 mil on 22-year-old Greek centre-back Konstantinos Koulirakis. Speaking of young centre-backs, and Bournemouth just secured Antonio Silva's signature for 30 million euros. That is some pickup. Wouldn't be surprised to see him depart for double that in a year or two's time. He'll be joined by right back Juan Luhu, who arrives from Sevilla for 11 mil. And the GOAT himself, Vozinha, has finally touched down in Chile to a hero's welcome from the Colo Colo faithful, and he's officially joined them on a short-term deal till the season's end. What a whirlwind couple of months it's been for football's favorite unk. We turn our attention now to football's least favorite character, Gianni Infantino. And we all know at this point about the bombshell report of him trying to privatize the World Cup. Martin Ziegler initially exposed the FIFA president's scheme that has sent the football world into meltdown, that caused UEFA to literally intervene, committing all 55 UEFA member states into boycotting all future tournaments if this plan were to go ahead. UEFA are also threatening legal action. They're actively pushing for his resignation. Just today, the English FA withdrew support for Infantino entirely. Pretty much everyone except Donald Trump himself, who will do everything possible to save Infantino. Oh, and for some reason, Sri Lanka's Football Association are really big fans of Infantino too, which is just hilarious to me. Look, let's be real. He's completely cooked himself here, hasn't he? Just a rare W we all get to see unfold. Like, it's so over. I personally don't think anyone can reform FIFA in any capacity, but I'm still enjoying the Infantino self-inflicted downfall. Couldn't have happened to a worse person. Like, it's just crazy because Martin Ziegler, the journalist who first broke the story, wrote a follow-up piece over the weekend for The Times that is somehow even more damning on the sheer depravity of Infantino and the methodical ways at which he orchestrated this entire ordeal, utilizing controversy as a sales pitch to private investors, showcasing that he could bend the rules for anyone. There was the Ronaldo suspension that was first uplifted. Then he created the FIFA Peace Prize to cozy up further with the Trump administration. Then came the dynamic ticket prices, hydration breaks to make hundreds of millions in additional advertiser revenue, a Super Bowl halftime show to break FIFA's own rulebook on halftime lengths. There was the Balogun red card saga. Every single controversy he helped manufacture was calculated. It was his way of showing his unique power. The most damning revelation from this report suggests that Infantino himself bragged to an associate of his plan to privatize the World Cup, saying, quote, "After 2031, we can make a serious amount of money here." Now, this year is important, right? Because that's when his FIFA tenure can no longer continue. It's also alleged that when Infantino was asked whether his 6 mil salary was enough, he said, "No, I'm taking a serious amount." Now, the basic salary leaked by the Times was 30 mil before bonuses. It's just crazy that Infantino did all of this solely for himself. The transparency of the grift is something else, but fair play to the man in a way, because he essentially united the entire world against him, bar Sri Lanka that is. But yeah, that's the latest on the story. There'll probably be more nefarious revelations as this story develops further. Maybe this is a hot take for some, but I think a resignation isn't adequate punishment at this point here. He's a criminal, an egregious one at that. I'm hoping for a here we go prison FC situation one day. Who knows? Anyways, guys, that's all for today's DMAC Daily. Appreciate you tuning in as always, and I'll see you tomorrow.